So you're diving into the world of IT risk? Well, you're in exactly the right place. Over the next few minutes, we're going to tear down and rebuild the absolute core of IT risk governance, all based on CRISC Domain 1. Let's get into it. All right, here's what's on the menu. First, we're going to get the lingo down. Then, we'll map out the risk management cycle. After that, we'll untangle the super important difference between risk appetite and tolerance. And finally, we'll see how governance and culture tie the whole thing together. Okay, first things first, let's talk about the language of risk. And I'm not kidding, this is the foundation for everything else. If you're prepping for the CRISC exam, this is exactly where so many people stumble. So, that begs the question, right? With a topic this critical, why on earth do so many smart people struggle to pass the certification exam? Well, it really boils down to this one simple thing. As risk guru Prab Mehr puts it, it's not the super complex stuff that trips people up. It's not having a rock-solid understanding of the basic concepts. So let's build that foundation, starting right now. So let's kick things off with the word threat. A threat is the action, right? It's the what that could actually cause harm. It's the hacker trying to get in, the virus that just landed in an email, or even something as simple as a fire. Now, a vulnerability, that's the flip side. It's the weakness. It's the server that doesn't have any antivirus software installed, or a house made of wood. It's basically the open door that a threat is just waiting to walk through. And here's where it all clicks together. See, the threat, the fire, it's the same for both houses, but the impact, totally different. That wooden house is obviously in a lot more trouble. So you get this simple but powerful formula. Threats plus vulnerability equals impact. Okay. Let's clear something up that trips up at a lot of people. Inherent risk, that's the risk before you do anything at all. It's the raw, unfiltered danger. Residual risk, that's what's left after you've put up your walls, your defenses, your controls. And remember, you can almost never get risk down to zero. There's always some residual risk. All right, so now that we have the building blocks, let's see how they fit into a real process. We're talking about the risk management cycle. And this cycle, it's literally the backbone of the entire CRISC syllabus. And you know what? The cycle is actually pretty straightforward. First, you find the risks. That's identification. Second, you figure out how bad they could be. That's assessment. Third, you decide what to do about them. That's your response. And fourth, and you can't forget this part, you monitor and report. And you keep on monitoring, because this thing never stops. So when you get to that third step, risk response, you've basically got 4 main moves you can make. You can just accept it, you can avoid it by stopping whatever you're doing, you can transfer it, think insurance, or the most common one, you can mitigate it by putting controls in place. All right, pay close attention here, because this next idea, it's a game changer. Getting the difference between risk appetite and risk tolerance is absolutely fundamental. It's probably one of the most important things you need to get right. Let's make this super simple with a real-world analogy. Your salary. Let's say you make $10,000 a month. That whole 10 grand, that's your risk capacity. It's the absolute max you could lose before, disaster strikes. It's your hard ceiling. But of course, you're not going to risk all of it. That would be crazy. Instead, you decide, okay, I'm willing to invest $5,000 a month to grow my money. That number, that planned amount you're comfortable accepting, that is your risk appetite. Then, one month, this amazing investment opportunity pops up. It's a bit risky, but you decide to go a little over just this once and invest $5,500. That extra $500, the amount you're willing to deviate from your plan for a specific reason, that's your risk tolerance. So here's the key takeaway, the big rule. Your $5,000 plan is your appetite. That's the normal operating level. The extra $500 is your tolerance. It's for special cases. And in the business world, the goal is to always make sure the risks you take are within that agreed-upon appetite. Okay, for our last section, let's pull the camera back. We've got the nitty-gritty details. Now let's look at the big picture. How this all gets managed at the highest levels through governance and culture. So what exactly is governance? Well, sometimes it's easier to think about what it's not. Imagine one of those crazy action movies where cars are just flying everywhere, things are blowing up, and there are absolutely no rules. That chaos, that's a perfect example of a total lack of governance. And this is a really important distinction to make. Governance isn't in the weeds doing the work. The board, senior leadership, they set the direction. They're like the navigators. Then it's management's job to actually execute. They plan, they build, they run with that strategy. And this is so, so important. You just can't have risk management stuck in its own little corner. For this to actually be effective, it has to be part of the DNA of every single department, from the folks in the supply chain all the way to HR. At the end of the day, you can have all the rules and policies you want, but if the culture isn't right, none of it matters. This quote right here just nails it. The culture around risk is everything. What you're aiming for is a huge shift. You want to move away from a reactive blame culture, where everyone's just looking for someone to point the finger at, and move towards a proactive ownership culture. That's the place where people actually talk about risk without fear. So when you boil it all down, what's your job as a risk practitioner? It's really about three things. 1, give the people in charge good, timely info. 2, advise them on the smartest ways to respond to risk. And 3, help find that sweet spot between getting things done and staying out of trouble. And that leaves us with one last, really important question for you to think about. Seriously, think about where you work. Does it have that blame culture, or is it an ownership culture? Because honestly, the answer to that question tells you pretty much everything you need to know about how mature your organization really is when it comes to risk.